Hello everyone, and welcome to my first ever video. Today I thought I would do something simple and just make a top 10 list about my favorite Dragon Age companions. Originally I was going to do something like a video essay, but that turned out to be a lot harder than I thought it would be, so that's something will be coming, but it's in a long time. And just a reminder, this is my opinion. Everyone is allowed to have different favorites, and I already know for a fact one is going to be controversial. Guess which one it is. And as I said, this is my first video, so I apologize for any quality issues. Anyway, let's get on with it. I respect Leliana a lot. Even before meeting the Warden, she had just managed to pull herself out of a horrific situation and better herself. She has so much respect and compassion for other people. Even when she's hardened, she judges people based off of their actions more than anything. Now, I personally always keep her softened because I think compassion is a great strength. So to have a character agree and embody that is something I love. I have no real comments about her in combat. She's decent, and I usually play as a rogue, so I've got that base covered anyway. Okay. I know I just said I really like compassionate characters, and Bethany is the surviving sibling in my world state, but I do prefer Carver as a character. If he survives and becomes a warden, I think he has one of the best character arcs in the game. And not just the game, but the series. You get to see him mature and become more confident in himself. And if you increase your friendship with him, you get to see him heal his relationship with Hawke, which is important because they end up being the only family he has. I also think that a lot of people can relate to that feeling of living in their sibling's shadow and feeling like they're not living up to their family's expectations of them. He's a decent warrior, but the only reason I keep him once I get Fenris, excuse me, is to boost his friendship. One way for a character to get close to my heart is to be funny. And let's be honest, Zevran is usually the comic relief, and he knows exactly when and how to be funny. He can lighten very dark moments, but if something needs to be serious, he can be one of the most respectful people in the room. The contrast between his usual personality and his personal conversations and the encounter with Taliesin show that perfectly. We also get to see him grow and be more comfortable in wanting things outside of violence and sex. To want softer things, to want to just for the sake of wanting. And while the Blight is a time of darkness and hardship, it can end up being a bright spot for him. And I just find his relationship with the Warden, whether it's romantic or platonic, to just be very sweet. Mechanics-wise, he's great as a second rogue, and as I not say, I usually play it so I'm not bothered by his lack of ability to pick locks. Despite the blood magic, Meryl is an absolute sweetheart. She is so kind to everyone she meets, and it takes so much to piss her off to the point where she'll be mean to you. Even then, she's quick to forgive. She is a breath of fresh air compared to the other companions in the second game. Please give me more kind characters. Her quests and conversations kind of break my heart because so much stuff could have been avoided if they hadn't vilified her and treated her like she's a child. Now, despite how much I love her, I don't usually have her in my party because I am very bad at video games and I need a healer, so Hot damn, that intro in the second game. Anyway, Isabella is a lot more complicated than a lot of people give her credit for. While she usually is very open about her sex life and either shows no reaction or will laugh along when people make comments on it, there are a few, very few moments when her insecurities about it show. More than that, that conversation, if she sticks around with friendship at least, in the beginning of Act 3, shows that she really does care and thinks about the things she does. Not only that, but she really, really cares about those who are close to her. She sticks by Hawk's side through thick and thin. She is very protective of Meryl. She's a great friend if you let her. If I'm not playing as a rogue, she's pretty much got a permanent spot on my team because I think she's pretty great functionally. Now that we're in the top 5, if it sounds like I'm kind of stopping a little ahead of where I should, there's a good reason. If I don't stop where I do, I'll just end up rambling forever, and this video will be like 5 hours long. I also plan on doing in-depth and individual videos on some of these characters, and I didn't want to take away from that. So, let's go on to the top 5. Alright, here's the one I think is going to be controversial. Yes, I am aware of his flaws, so no need to yell at me about them. As annoying as it is, another thing I like about characters is when they have potential, and oh boy, does he have some potential. I personally think he can be pretty funny, and he tries so hard to be kind, which is more impressive than people who are naturally that way. Even if you don't necessarily agree with how he does it, you can't deny that he is trying. And even though this next part is a big reason why some people don't like him, he is an excellent foil to Anders. Now, I'm gonna stop myself right there because that is going to be a big part of a future video for him, and I could go on and on about that. As for gameplay, I find him to be usually better than Varric, and I hate playing as archers in the first 2 games, so it works out perfectly. And I don't know how, but somehow, he is always the last person alive in my party. You'd think it would be one of the warriors, or if I'm playing as a healer, or if I have Anders, because they can heal themselves. No, it's him. As previously mentioned, I like kind characters, and goddamn if that isn't Cole. He says a lot of very meaningful things, and quite frankly, he says a lot of things that are comforting and can be quite helpful to the player. I love all the conversations where he brings people things, whether it's their favorite food, something they lost, or something to remind them of a happy memory. Seriously, that conversation about the rat with Cassandra, it gets a little chuckle out of me every time. He may view things a little too black and white at times, but it makes sense, so it's okay. I've got no issues with how he is in combat, though he probably has the worst focus ability. Everything else in the assassin tree is good, though, I will say that. Fenris. He was probably the first companion in the second game that I felt a connection with. Anders in Awakening doesn't count. He's probably one of the best written characters in the second game, and he is also the most responsible, and is incredibly thoughtful. I already talked about how much I love him breaking up with Hawk in Act 2, but it is such a responsible and mature decision on his part. While he may not agree with or approve of either Anders or Meryl, he doesn't think about turning them into the Templars, because he knows how much it would hurt Hawke, and also probably Varric and Isabella. I adore how protective he can be over Bethany and how much he respects her, and his few moments of pure lightheartedness are absolutely amazing. Seriously, there's one conversation with Sebastian where I thought he and Meryl had switched bodies. I honestly haven't played enough with Aveline to make a decent comment on combat, because in order to do that, I'd have to compare the two, but he's good from my playthroughs. So when I first played through the games, I played the games out of order. I played Inquisition first. I immediately loved a lot of the characters, but Dorian was the big one. I don't think I've done a playthrough without him, and I know that is a big no-no for some people. I don't think any of the characters have made me laugh as much as him, and very few have made me cry as much as him. To me, he genuinely feels like he's your friend. I know romances are a big deal, and his is one of the best, but his friendship is what got to me. He makes the sacrifices that count, but is still very snarky about it the whole time. He's always the first to apologize for the serious stuff, even when it technically wasn't even his fault for starting it. Blackwall. He's usually quick to change his views when provided evidence. This is a positive video. I'm not getting into that because, believe me, there's something to be said about the one time he doesn't. I'm pretty sure you can figure out what that is. He is, after all, the one who tries to convince Abelos to tell everyone the true history of the elves. Combat be damned, I tailor my abilities to him so it works. It is a literal miracle someone somehow managed to outdo him. Oh my goodness. Alistair was one of the characters I had heard about before even thinking about playing the games. When I first booted up Origins, I wondered if he would live up to the hype. And oh my god, did he do just that. I loved him the moment he popped up on the screen. A good chunk of his most quotable moments run through my head every day. The moment with the rose literally had me swooning. While Dorian is the ultimate friend, Alistair is the ultimate love interest. While sad moments can make me cry, sweet moments almost never do. When you give him the letter if he's your warden contact, I had to pause the game for a good 5 minutes. I think he is one of the best written characters in the game, and the way he reacts and thinks makes perfect sense to me. He's handling the situation as best he can, and despite everything, he is doing very well. Especially when you take into account he's only 20, and I'm 19, and most of the people I know are 20, and I know damn well none of us could handle the worst situations that we are prepared for very well at all. I try to think about great things about him, and it's like thinking about a crush. While my opinions about the Templar organization are by no means the greatest at all, the specialization is probably my favorite, second only to the Spirit Healer. Spirit Healer. Also, shields are pretty great, so he's my ultimate warrior in the first game, and I literally only have Oghren for the Paragon of Her Kind quest. The moment that's done, he gets kicked out of the party, and I bring Alistair back. That's all I got for now. Hopefully videos will be better in the future. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you watch the next one, if I ever make it. Have a good day or night, and goodbye!